Hello, Sumo fans. I'm back for the final live stream of the Stormy Boss Show. It's a Friday night. We are getting very, very close to finding out what the final situation is. Who's going to be the champion? Will we have a new champion? Will we have an old champion? The guy who's on the screen right now is the only possibility for an old champion. Everyone else would be a first-time winner. So it's going to get interesting. Very, very interesting. So I think first I have to make a little joke here. I put as the thumbnail a picture of Daieisho holding the cup. So should things play out the way they could tomorrow and Daieisho clinches it, it would be very funny if somebody comes across this video and thinks that I spoiled something. I could see that happening. Hello, Daniel. Glad to see that you're back. So we're going to start off with a recap of today. I'll give a little analysis, talk about tomorrow, and then we can all do our predictions. So today we had Hoshoryu versus Midori Fuji. We knew this was going to be a classic match. Now, Midori Fuji had the edge against Hoshoryu in head-to-head, but I just had a feeling that Hoshoryu really wanted to play spoiler, really wanted to get his angry self in there, and then he was going to put in every ounce of effort that he had. And it's interesting because once again, I noticed something that I immediately thought about training in this match. So I believe last night that I had said that I really wanted a back and forth, push one guy all the way to one edge, push the other guy to the other edge, and basically that's what I got. I got the exact match I envisioned and the exact match that I was hoping for. Within that, one of the times where Hoshoryu had pushed Midori Fuji all the way to the edge, he's got his hand on the back of his neck and he's pushing him down, and Midori Fuji just sort of pops up. And it just brought me back to how the training works, where they're, they got their hands on top of them and they're pushing them, and it looks like they're doing like a walking squat, and then they just tap them on the back and then they do the roll. I guess I can see the benefit of that training, because if you're so used to getting pushed on like that in an actual match, you would just have the reflexes to bounce back up. So Midori Fuji gave it everything he had. The match looked really, really even, but the one thing I'll say is Hoshoryu does look stronger than Midori Fuji. I'm sure that was the factor in the very end. Although Midori Fuji did lose his footing, I think a lot of that had to do with Hoshoryu out-muscling him. And I think when Midori Fuji, whether he wins this tournament or not, it's not looking good in my opinion, but you never know. He's going to go back and hit the weights. Because Hoshoryu put on, some extra pounds, a couple of tournaments ago, and he's seen much better results because of it. So I could see Midori Fuji trying to put on some weight, doing some more lifting. He will have learned a lot from that match. Next we have Wakatakakage versus Kota no Waka. Now here was another match where Kota no Waka really showed his skill, and Wakatakakage really showed his resolve. And when it was at the edge there, I really didn't know who was going to win. But I did notice something that I don't think anybody pointed out. Maybe I'm totally off base, but I thought Waka had the top knot there at the edge. I don't know if it actually made a difference in terms of, did it give him an extra grip? Or if it's just one of those things where if it got caught, he would have lost the match and it would have felt like a cheap way to lose the match. But I don't know. It looked like he really had a good couple of fingers on that top knot. But I didn't see Kota no Waka say anything. Maybe it's because they did the rematch. Maybe they caught the potential top knot and decided to do the rematch because of it. I don't know. But definitely on that rematch, you could see what Kota no Waka's problem is. He just doesn't have the endurance yet. Wakatakakage looked like he could still run a mile and fight the next match. And Kota no Waka, he had nothing left. So part of that is probably because Kota no Waka's a bigger guy and you can't help that situation. Like, even if he lost a little bit of weight, part of what makes him who he is as a fighter is his body size and shape. But this is where Wakatakakage really shines, because he has the endurance and he has the strength and the speed and the stamina. So if he could put it all together, get over his, whatever mini slump he's in right now, he could be one fine sumo wrestler. Daniel says, yeah, I'm not sure with that top knot situation. Did anybody else see the top knot pull, or am I the only person who's like seeing this phantom top knot? I looked at it over and over and over again, and to me it looked like he was firmly in there. But like I said, in the sense that if it really didn't affect the outcome, that it's one of those, he got away with something. But if it affected the outcome, then that's a shame for Kota no Waka to lose that way. Hello there, Mitch. Glad to see you again. Tonight's going to be less doom and gloom like last night. I don't know what's going on with me. I was feeling the Takakeisho thing, but I'm over it now, especially because we are up to 99 subscribers. This is very surprising to me. We have gained quite a few people this tournament, which is awesome. I hope everybody is enjoying the live streams, and that's part of why they're subscribing, because it's really fun to chat with you guys and make horrible guesses that I'm always wrong at, and then put up against your guys' opinions. So, yeah, I don't know. Since nobody talked about the top knot pull, it's going to be one of those things that just never happened. It won't ever be a controversy because no one ever saw it. Next, we had Endo and Kiribayama. Obviously, I'm going out of order with these matches. Kiribayama beat Endo pretty easily, I would say. And it just shows you Kiribayama's locked in. Endo's fallen off. This happens all the time. I think if Endo had won the last match and he was, I think there's a little bit of the letdown thing going on right now. Plus, Endo does seem like he's always injured too, but I think there's some letdown. I think he would plan to be in it at the end, and just these guys we've been talking about all this time had some other plans for our good friend Endo. So Kiribayama brings himself, keeps himself in the tournament conversation pretty easily, not too much of a sweat. Hokuto Fuji and Wakamotoharu. Hokuto Fuji did manage to push Wakamotoharu all the way to the edge, but it was a false alarm in the sense that I don't think Wakamotoharu ever really was out of that match. Maybe, he got the jump on him on the Tachi, but Wakamotoharu seemed to have a plan, seemed confident, took control of that situation pretty quick. So now you got yourselves Kiribayama, Wakamotoharu hanging in there. And then you have Daieisho versus Meisei. Once again, Meisei was a non-factor. In so many tournaments, he's been a spoiler or he's made it tough for somebody. That is not this tournament. Daieisho wins pretty convincingly, and now Daieisho, as I predicted several days ago, is the man to beat. He is on the top, 11-2. We have Kiribayama, Wakamotoharu, and Midori Fuji all at 10-3. And of course we have killer matchups tomorrow, which are going to decide everything. Either we're going to have a clinch with Daieisho, or we are going to have total chaos. And I'm always a fan of total chaos if I'm not rooting for somebody to do something. Like if it was Takayasu going for his first Yusho, I wouldn't want chaos. If it was Takakeisho going for Yokozuna, I wouldn't want chaos. If it was somebody on an Ozeki run, those situations, I don't like chaos. This one, bring it on. Chaos is a good thing. So, tomorrow we have Wakamotoharu versus Hoshoryu. And Wakatakakage versus Kiribayama, Daieisho versus Midori Fuji. So right there, Daieisho can eliminate Midori Fuji. And then he does need Kiribayama and Wakamotoharu to lose as well. In that situation, he would take it all tomorrow. I find it very funny. John and I always talk about this, the Waka brothers, how at some point they were going to really be able to work together. And this is the time. This is where you can see the beauty of these brothers. First of all, how cool is it that you have two brothers that are at the same, like, upper ranks echelon. They're together. And so now they get to work as a team, regardless of how the other person is doing. Wakatakakage, he's struggling. He might lose a Sekiwake spot. It could come down to the final day at this point. But he's knocking out all of his brother's competition. That is super cool. I love this idea that the brothers can't face each other unless it's a playoff, because now there's nothing but incentive to help your brother out. So even in a tough tournament, Wakatakakage is right there helping his brother out. And it's a beautiful thing. The question is, so first we gotta discuss Wakamotoharu and Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu is a little bit of an enigma to me, because his lack of consistency is a big part of why he has not made his run yet, has not gotten his Yusho yet. It's all because you get these moments of brilliance and then you get these letdowns. So if we have brilliant Hoshoryu, he's playing spoiler tomorrow. He's beating Wakamotoharu just to spite him, just because he got knocked out, just to like show some sort of future Ozeki pride. But the Hoshoryu that we've seen tournament after tournament has not been able to put together 2 spoiler wins in a row. That has not happened, to my recollection. So, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen in that match. And I really hope it's another, like, mano-y-mano. Who knows what's going to happen? Nobody no hankas. I don't think we're going to be seeing any hankas. But that's going to be a wild match. And then Wakatakakage versus Kiribayama. In the past, I would probably have given it to Wakatakakage because A, he's helping his brother out, and B, he's had some excellent matches with Kiribayama, and he has been victorious. But now, with the stakes the way that they are, Kiribayama, he doesn't want to lose that match tomorrow, and he's pretty locked in right now. I'm not expecting nerves from Kiribayama. So this is going to be it's going to be quite the clash. These two guys are very equal in skill level. They both can pull anything out. They're both quick. They've both got something to prove. Wakatakakage wants to keep winning because if he loses, he doesn't want to lose that Sekiwake spot. Kiribayama wants to be in the tournament race. So another classic match. I think we're going to have a great day of sumo tomorrow. And then finally, Daieisho versus Midori Fuji. I mean, this is classic. These are the two guys. Like, Midori Fuji, it was his tournament to lose, and he lost his position to Daieisho. So these two should meet. Boy, the two of them are just such different wrestlers. Such different wrestlers. Daieisho is the pushing, thrusting, just got to keep moving forward. Although he hasn't had any of the problems he's had in the past in this tournament of losing it on the edge, getting too eager. No one's played him for a fool yet, but if anybody could play him, it's Midori Fuji. He's the master of katatsukashi at the edge. He's the master of running you in circles. He's the master of tiring you out or slipping to the side. Anything is possible in all 3 of these matches. This is like the first time in a while where I don't have a real strong gut feeling either way. 1 minute I'm picking Hoshoryu, the next minute I'm picking Wakamotoharu. And in a flash, it's all going to be over. That's the funny thing. So, it's going to be wild. I really don't think Daieisho will clinch it tomorrow because I think one of these guys is going to win. My guess is Kiribayama's going to win. And Daieisho's going to win. That's what I think is going to happen. But boy, if Midori Fuji pulls an upset, And then everybody's 10-3 or 11-3. Oh boy, will that be too much fun? That'll be way too much fun. So anyway, that's where we're at. And I see we have some comments, so let's get into that. So Mitch says, it's got to be Daieisho versus Kiribayama day 15 with a possible rematch in a playoff if the chips fall correctly. I am guessing that's what everybody wants to see. And we have the scenario set up where this could happen. This is a great thing. I'm glad that Daieisho is not matched up with Kiribayama tomorrow. Because I think of all the guys who are left, Kiribayama's got the best chance of really putting up a good match against Daieisho. I think Midori Fuji still, he's reeling from a couple of bad losses, so his confidence is a little shaky. But Wakamotoharu, there's something about him. John and I talk about this all the time. He's relatively new, but he fights like a veteran. It feels like the guy's already won a Yusho before. It's just the way his demeanor is. So I don't know. I could see him winning too. So, whew. I just please. I know we're not supposed to talk about it anymore, but nobody Hanka. I will be very upset. But anyway. Daniel says, winning for Hoshoryu is still important. Starting an Ozeki run with 11 wins is a lot better than with 9. Yeah, I guess technically you can start one with 9, but I don't think it's usual. You'd have to have amazing, win a Yusho and then, be 12-3 for them to count your 9 wins. It's only if you're great in the next 2 tournaments. So yes, you're completely right that he has all the incentive in the world to go for his 11 wins, because I think he's probably tired of being where he's at and wants to be Ozeki. There's nobody up there right now. It is completely up for grabs for everybody. And we can see, Hoshoryu looks extra fired up this tournament. I think he's really stung by the fact that he was very close to being in the title race and just, boom, out. Mitch says, imagine if Hoshoryu doesn't get her last Basho. I almost guarantee we are talking Ozeki right now. I think that is a very good possibility. I really had high hopes for Hoshoryu after his near miss at a Yusho. I thought he was going to go on a complete tear. I thought he would win the next tournament. This is the frustrating thing that we've been talking about the last few nights, where every single time we think we're getting somewhere with somebody gets hurt. I'm about to start flipping tables or something. If I see one more twisted ankle or ripped knee or broken shoulder, I'm going to lose it. It's stop getting hurt. But at least Hoshoryu is a young guy. Ankle, it sucks and it does affect his ability, but it's not one of those career enders. So keep yourself healthy, Hoshoryu, because a lot of people are gunning for you to be the next guy. With that said, I've seen a fair amount of comments that are negative about Hoshoryu. There's plenty of people who just think he has his uncle's reputation and he's skating on that, and that without that reputation, he would be above average Rikishi. I don't agree with that opinion, but I understand that opinion is out there. Jax, if you're still here for a second, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for always pitching us around. I don't know if you saw, but we are very close to 100 subscribers. This is amazing. Your efforts are appreciated. And Liddy Lid, how are you? I want to talk about... Oh, yes. I'm glad you brought this up, Liddy Lid. Kin Bozan and Hokuseiho are awesome. Loving the new blood. It's so funny because for a brief period of time, and it might have been just 1 or 2 losses, I thought Kin Bozan was starting to slide and we were going to get a, 8-7. But now we're looking at a much different record. It's what John and I talk about all the time. And the same possibly for Wakatakakage. There's moments in a tournament, somewhere in the middle, where you think you've got the guy's tournament figured out and you're thinking at the end, oh boy, he's just going to skate by. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he got 11 wins. He got 10 wins. And when you're talking about this person for the next tournament, you're like, oh, wow, he had a great tournament. And it's like, well, that's not how I felt in the middle of the tournament. In the middle of the tournament, I thought he was busting. But now, and you could say the same thing for Hokuseiho. He had a couple of rough matches in the middle, but he's turning it around. He's not doing as well as Kinbozan. And he's not winning the tournament like I was hoping. I was being a little above optimistic there. But we have some good, hopeful moments with these two guys. And only time can make them better. But I did think it was funny in an interview where Kinbozan was saying not only the thing that every new guy says, which is the Tachi is harder, the matches are faster, the crowd is more intense, but he also said, I'm just hoping not to get injured. It's very interesting that he said that. I wonder if everybody's starting to feel a little superstitious with all the injuries going on these days. So, for not trying to beat this horse to death, but I am wondering from all of you, I know we have some Takakage fans in here. There are a lot of people who just believe that Takakage is not Yokozuna material, period. And that no matter what you do, it was always sort of a fantasy or a fairy tale. Do you agree that that's the case, or do you think that there's just been bad luck? Or do you think he looks so good because he's had no competition? Like, is this situation totally different if Takakage was coming up during the Hakuho Kakuryu days? Like when they were healthy and stuff? Would we not even be talking about Takakage as a potential Yokozuna if he had lots of competition up at the top? Like, is it that? It's interesting. It's an interesting concept to think about. Lady Lid, Hokuseiho changed his style, totally unexpected aggression. I really think Hokuseiho is dealing with the awkwardness of his height. And Hakuho alluded to this a little bit before the tournament, where he said he loses to the short, speedier guys. I think the reason for that is it's hard for him to engage at the Tachi aggressively. Because if he runs full force at a tiny guy, you don't have head-on-head colliding. You have little guy crashing into his chest. And I don't know that that's the greatest feeling either. And his arms are so long that, like, it's almost in a way the same kind of problem as a guy who has short arms. He can almost overshoot the target. He has to, like, come over these short guys. And most people are shorter than him. I mean, I can't wait to see him fight Ichinojo in the top division. Because now you're going to see more of what it should look like if he's fighting someone his height. But most of his fights, he's just kind of going to look like a lumbering guy. Because he's just so much taller than everybody else. So I think he does have to adjust his style, which is really good that he's doing that, to deal with all the different issues that he has. One, there's a lot of tiny guys in sumo right now. At the time the Takakage came up, there was only one tiny guy. It was Ishiura. And then we had this brief period of time where we had Enho. And then Enho was like the only tiny guy, and he was making everybody excited. And you only had to adjust for one match. If Hokuseiho had come up during that time, we might see a totally different version of him than we see now. Right now, you have Midori Fuji, Nishiki Fuji, you have Koto Echo's not super tiny, but Koto Echo's on the tinier side. Like, you have all these different guys, these little short men running around. Wakatakakage, not the tallest. Hoshoryu, not the tallest. And they're all speedy. So he's got a lot to overcome there. So aggression should be the way to do it, but he's got to be able to get a hold of his guy. And there's a lot of There's going to be a lot of adjustments there, but he's got the right coach to teach him what to do. Because Hakuho is probably studying all the tape and making, all these crazy mathematical diagrams back at the stable so that when Hokuseiho comes in and be like, okay, if you change your foot angle about 90 degrees, you'll win next time. I could see this. I really could see this. Daniel says, Ura and Shimanoumi both had bad knee injuries at his Heya, so I'm sure he sees what an injury does to a Rikishi. Yeah, I guess that would make him, Bozan, a little bit more cautious. And Mitch, I assume, is referring to my Takakeisho question where he said all of the above. And then he has followed up with, I honestly see Takakeisho having a Kaio-like career. He'll probably win 1 or 2 more Yusho, but never get the rope due to consistency issues. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the hugest Takakeisho fan around. I'm also a very realistic person. Takakeisho had a plan with his dad that 100% makes perfect sense, which means Takakeisho's fully aware of it himself. He needed to come up quick and get the rope quick. And if he wasn't able to do that, it's over. And unfortunately for him, he got injured right away, right after he became Ozeki, immediately after becoming Ozeki. So he never got to have the years of youth on his side. He hurt himself pretty bad in that very first tournament as Ozeki. And then had to go to Ozeki Wake and come back up. And he came up great. He came back spectacularly. I was shocked that he got the 10 wins easily. But it was not meant to be. And if you look at Takakeisho, he's all wrong for a high-level sumo guy, in a sense. He has short arms. He gains weight in a way that makes his arms even shorter. Someone at his height would have been better suited to be the size of a Hoshoryu. But a guy the size of Hoshoryu has to have multiple techniques. So I'm not sure why Takakeisho... Takakeisho's been a big guy even when he was young. His father was all about gain the weight. I think Takakeisho would have had a longer career as a smaller guy, but maybe would have never been powerful enough to be Ozeki. I definitely think he's Ozeki worthy. There's been some comments out there about, he's fighting above his stature. Well, that's silly. He's been Ozeki long enough. But I think that's his ceiling. And I do think that he's capable of winning more Yusho. But this was his only chance, in my opinion. This was his best real chance to be Yokozuna. And the same problems cropped up. And unfortunately, that's the situation. But we can look forward to him, hopefully he's going to keep his Ozeki and not fall out like Shodai and Mitaki Yumi did. And hopefully we can just look forward to powerful sumo, possible Yushos. But it's going to hurt when the next Ozeki comes up and then leapfrogs over him to Yokozuna. I could almost see Takakeisho being the type of guy, and then this would depend because now he's married with a kid. I could see Takakeisho being the type of guy that retires early. If he can't compete at the level that he thinks he should be at, I could see him just retiring out of pride. If he loses Ozeki and he can't get back up to it, I could see him just saying, whatever. Daniel says, Teratsuyoshi is another small guy. Yes, he is, and I was going to say him, but now he's so far down in the Bansake, I don't know if we're ever going to see him again. And it sounds like it's a little bit of personal problems going on. And I don't know, some Abi-style disobedience and maybe just an overall lack of not wanting to be in sumo anymore. So we'll see if we see him again. Mitch says, and if he does get the rope, I see Waka no Hana or Kisano Santo type Yokozuna career, hurt and gone in 2 years. That's the issue. If Takakeisho could have pulled off his perfect plan of becoming Yokozuna very quickly, then maybe he could have had something. But it's just too late now. Even if he could muster 2 Yusho in a row and they give him the rope, he's not going to be able to fulfill the Yokozuna duty. He's just too injury prone. And that has everything to do with, well, Liddy's making a good point that I'm going to get into. Liddy says, whatever happens, I'll always respect him. He does keep hurting himself, though. Maybe could have had better conditioning, coaching mistake. Remember Takakeisho's coaching situation. His first coach was Takanohana. And then right as he's going for Ozeki, that scandal ripped everything apart. Takanohana leaves the Sumo Association. Takakeisho just gets thrown into another stable with a stable master who had no history with him whatsoever. And I don't know how good the training was with that stable master. He was temporary, and there were a lot of issues, though he did seem to have his best interest at heart in terms of telling him, take this tournament off, have yourself go to Ozeki Waki so that you don't lose your whole career. And then Takakeisho came back with the 10 wins, but Takakeisho has never had a stable coaching situation. This whole thing could have been very different with proper coaching. Who knows? Like, he's just bouncing from stable master to stable master. Who's that happening to? I don't know of anybody else in the current situation who's in that. I have no clue. Mitch says, I wonder if he's looking at elder stock in the future. I would guess so. And the woman that he married, her father was a former Ozeki. So he's now sort of, unfortunately passed away, but he sort of inherited a sumo legacy. So he's got a father-in-law who, former Ozeki. The house they're living at has a dohyo in the basement, so he can practice at home. He doesn't even have to go to the stable. I'm guessing that Takakeisho has sumo on the mind for the rest of his life. So I'm sure he's going to want elder stock. I'm sure he's going to want to be a sumo coach. I'm sure that all the regrets that he has between injuries and just not being the guy he wants to be, he's going to take that frustration and bring it to future guys. That's the only way to work through that kind of stuff. So between the coaching situation being a mess, Takakeisho not having the physical body that is needed to be a Yokozuna, it wasn't meant to be. I think we got glimpses of a possibility only because there wasn't a lot of competition at the top. If there had been a lot of competition at the top, maybe Takakeisho would have gotten to Ozeki a little bit later. Maybe things would have gone different. He catapulted so quickly to Ozeki that there was just nowhere else for him to go. Mitch says, as an Ozeki, he'll get 3 years to figure it out if he doesn't have it yet upon retirement. So, this elder stock thing, there's a little bit of nuance to it that I don't understand, that I have to look into. I think if you have connections, there's ways about this. So, I don't know. I have a feeling that Takakeisho has some sort of plan for getting the elder stock. And I really want to look into how it really works. Because there are some guys that end up with elder stock from other stables after they make certain deals. Like, I think Asanoyama already has elder stock because a certain deal was made. So, who knows? I bet you Takakeisho's got something in the bag. But anyway, it'll be good to see him back for a tournament. Hopefully he'll be in better shape. He'll be a nice test for all these young guns. Like, right now, they should be having a blast without an Ozeki or a Yokozuna. They should be winning the tournament. They should be showing off their skills. But as soon as, one of the big guys comes back, it'd be interesting to see. Like, Hoshoryu has a terrible record against Takakeisho. He just gets blasted out. Now, with that being said, he's learned some tricks. He knows what hurts Takakeisho. Midori Fuji is an interesting one because I wasn't expecting him to rise so high. We'll have to see. He has not been on my list with these other guys, and it'd be interesting to see if he stays with these guys or if he just falls off. And Mitch says, it's complicated to know some of the rules, but not all of them. Yeah, the elder stock thing is fascinating, but it's kind of hard to figure this stuff out. Like, I got to see if there's a resource. You can get lots of resources on Sumo, but not this kind of thing. Somebody has to have written an article or discussed it in some way, maybe tachiai.org. I should go through their archives and see if they've done anything. But when I tried searching it, I didn't find anything. I didn't find anything of substance that would explain it to me. I guess I got to learn Japanese, and I'm sure they've got like 1 million sumo books out there if you read Japanese. So, before I go, let's do some predictions. Even though these would be pure guesses, because I think everything is going to be wild tomorrow. Okay, Wakamotoharu versus Hoshoryu. I'm going to pick Wakamotoharu. Wakatakakage versus Kiribayama. I'm going to pick Kiribayama. And Daieisho versus Midori Fuji. I'm going to pick Daieisho. I don't know. I have a strong gut feeling that Daieisho is going to win it all. I said that a couple days ago. But there's a nagging voice in the back of my head that's whispering to me, Kiribayama. So, if Kiribayama pulls it off, I can't take full credit for it, but I will say that he was constantly in the back of my mind. Mitch says Tachiai did something like 2 or 3 years back. Okay, so I'm going to go through Tachiai's archives and see what they wrote up on Elder Stock. I know they also have a YouTube show that I think they do like just a preview show or something. I don't know if they've ever talked about Elder Stock there, but this is something I need to learn about. And then me and John were talking about maybe putting together a video. I would love to put together a video on Elder Stock to just explain it so that new sumo fans have that topic. Maybe somebody's going to beat me to that punch, but we'll see. Because there's a lot of really cool sumo videos out there that explain the basics, and now I want to get into the real complicated stuff. Chris Sumo is pretty good at going into that stuff, but I don't think he's ever done an Elder Stock video. And he's kind of been missing in action lately too, so. Anyway, it's been real fun this tournament. I'm glad we did 3 live streams in a row. Be ready for me and John to do a live stream. We're gonna do a recording on Sunday, with our recap, but then it'll be played on Monday, and then I'll have the live chat on so you guys can stop by and chat. Mitch says there is a list on Sumo DB. Okay, I'm writing all of this down. Sumo DB under Kabu. And then we have Tachiai. Hello, Toad Ozumo. Crazy how many Ozeki runs we might have going after this basho. Yeah, it could. You could realistically see Hoshoryu start one, Kiribayama start one, and Wakamotoharu start one. I don't think Kota no Waka can start one. But definitely Kiribayama. Definitely he's the closest. But Hoshoryu can start one. Kiribayama with a win this time around could be Ozeki with a great tournament next time. I think even if he wins this one, there's no way he's Ozeki. He needs at least one more tournament. But he is making a very strong case because I think he can put another good tournament together in May. So we might see Kiribayama as the next Ozeki. But don't count out Wakamotoharu. I have strong Ozeki vibes coming from him. He's got a classic style. He's got a classic look, and he's got a classic way about him. He just has Ozeki written all over him. So he's He's my guy. My surprise pick in a sense. And then Mitch says, imagine we might have 5 to 6 Sekiwake in May. Well, they've set that precedent before, where it was like just a huge list of Sekiwake, and the funny part was they all crashed and burned, and I think it was January, or was it November? It was January. In January, they all fell apart. Toto Zumo says, Daieisho too, though he'd have to not go 9, 7, and 8 next time. That's the funny thing about Daieisho. Daieisho should have been Ozeki by now. He should have been able to do it, but he is very inconsistent. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what his issues are. Because I almost look at him as like I don't want to say a better version of Takikeisho. But what I mean is, Daieisho's just a little bit taller. He's just a little bit smaller in the belly. So if he wanted to, he could do belt techniques. Takikeisho is not able to do belt techniques. He just can't do it. He physically cannot do it. Daieisho could morph himself, and he's very, very strong and very, very powerful. However, he doesn't beat Takikeisho that often, so it tells you that there is a difference in power there. Liddy Lid says, it's not just the fighting ability, I think. It's about who has the strength of character to bear the burden of Ozeki. If that isn't the comment of the year, I give the comment of the year to Liddy Lid. Yes, it is a burden to be Ozeki. And many, many men have failed in the last 5 years. Because it's all the stress of being the top guy without any reward of being the top guy. You cannot take a tournament off. You cannot get injured. Because of the Yokozuna situation, you've been the top guy, expected to win over and over and over again, but you don't get any rest if you get hurt. You can't take a couple tournaments off. You're constantly being criticized, and if you drop down, you have to go through a whole process to come back up. Yokozuna obviously is a completely different type of pressure. I'm not comparing the two. But I actually think being an Ozeki is the worst burden of the tournament. Because with Yokozuna, if you really, really stink, you can retire. And that's terrible because you lose your career. But at least it's like, I'm either the guy or I'm not. With Ozeki, you can tread water over and over and over again. And know that you're not good enough to be Yokozuna. But not wanting to go less than Ozeki, because less than Ozeki is not your potential. Look at what happened to Shodai. And even Shodai admitted that he was relieved when he finally stopped being Ozeki. Mitch said, only ever had a max of 4. Don't think we've ever had a Sekiwake 3 rank on the Banzuke. We had maybe we had 4 Komusubi. 4 Komusubi and 2 Sekiwake that one tournament. I think that's what happened last time. The point is they're no longer afraid of expanding the Sanyaku. That used to be like unheard of, and now they're getting pretty desperate. The situation's getting rough. They're about to throw everything at it. Oh, Ozeki run? Sure. Oh, 20 Sekiwake? Yeah, why not? Promote this guy with only 1 Yusho? Yeah, let's do it. I think if they could have done that with Takikeisho, they would have, but I think everybody was aware that Takikeisho could not bear the burden of Yokozuna, just from an injury standpoint. I think he has everything it takes in terms of character, determination, an understanding of the role, a seriousness for the role. He has a very good aura, just doesn't have the body. And you can't do anything more than he's done. You can't. You can't change how you were born. So, it's against him, but he's done everything he can possibly do. And he's maintained himself as a figure. No matter how much crap talk there is about him not being this and not being that, blah, 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 blah. Can you imagine what it would have been like without Takikeisho? Just picture that one next time you want to say something about him. Toto Zumo. I think they did a good thing by doing it. The more Sekiwake there are, the higher chance somebody gets promoted. Well, that's what That's what they're banking for. That is what they're banking for. And then Mitch says, had 4 Komusubi and 4 Sekiwake. That's what I thought. And it didn't work out. Like, all the Sanyaku were struggling. But that is not the case this time. We have this time, without everybody fighting for Sanyaku in the same way, we have the scenario that we thought we might get in January. So it's interesting. These guys are getting better. They're getting more comfortable. They're getting more confident. We're going to get our Ozekis. We're going to get them. Daniel says, looking through the list of Kabu and the owner of Oho's Baya only reaches Juryo. I think that was only possible because Takatariki was forced to retire. Really? Wow. Yeah, see, there you go. There's a whole other situation right there. The coaching situation is a mess too. There's been stables that have closed down. There have been stables that have sort of fused together. There has, like I said, you Takanohana out, Takatariki's retiring. You've got some guys who are coaching, whether it be temporary or whether they've been given a really generous promotion, that maybe don't have the same experience. You look at a lot of these guys, look at Yu Takayama. Maybe their careers are different if they have a different stable master. I can say, and I know I'm biased, Takakeisho's faced an awful lot of crap and still managed to become a Ozeki. Most guys cannot say that they lost their stable master as soon as they became Ozeki and had to move to a totally different place and then got another stable master after that. Most guys have been with the same guy for a long time, following their career. Didn't happen to them when they first started having a career. Todo Zumo says the Joey got absolutely obliterated this time out. And Mitch says, I really don't think they've changed the rules too much as far as extra Sekiwake outside of Takayasu last Basho. It's just they do what they need to do to get Sekiwake and then get stuck. And Todo Zumo says, Mitoryu is literally a one-man stable, poor fella. Oh, I didn't know that. Gee. Yeah, as we're talking about this, it tells you there's not as many recruits. And the guys who are serious about sumo and coming in, it looks like Hakuho's taken all of them. And then Kisa no Sato's in there. And just wait till Kakuryu gets his stable. You're going to have those 3 Yokozuna competing like crazy for the talent. But yeah, there's just not enough people coming in. And that instability is all over the place. Whenever you see a problem at the top, there's probably a problem at the bottom. There's probably a problem in the middle. It's never in one direction. It's never in one spot only. It probably is in one direction, but yeah, I see what you're saying, Mitch, as far as they're doing this. They're trying to change the rules so they can get somebody to Ozeki. But I don't know what other choice they have. Because if they don't promote guys, then they can't go on Ozeki runs either. So, I mean, either they get stuck, further down than they belong, or they get pushed up a little higher than they belong. Either way, they just got to win. You just got to win. You got to put together 3 good tournaments and you can be Ozeki. And the fact that nobody can do that is astounding. I do think that everybody's just a little bit overworked, undertrained, and overstressed. And maybe with the pandemic stuff done for the most part, maybe things will start to go back to normal and something will happen. I don't know. It's been a crazy couple of years. That's all I can say. For sumo, even longer than that, with all the scandals and the coaches dropping out and, all the crap they gave Hakuho over and over and over again. And now they're begging him, please come to our meeting. Please do this TV spot. Please sell this merchandise. You're the guy everybody wants to see. So anyway, guys, Mitch says, it just hurts how close it's been to see the Ozeki runs crash. Absolutely. That's why watching the Takakage thing happen the way it did was such a bummer, because we've been waiting a long time for somebody to get promoted. We had Mitake Yumi, and that crashed out so quick. I did not expect it to be over that quick. And now he's like a shell of himself. He can't even get it together down below. I don't know what happened to him, but Ozeki was not good for him, that's for sure. He was Sanyaku, finally gets Ozeki, and it's like it ruined his career. But you know what? We're going to be hopeful this time. We're not going to be like last night. Today we are hopeful. Tomorrow we are hopeful for amazing, amazing matches. Maybe a first-time winner. Maybe some Ozeki runs. Maybe some tears. Maybe some great speeches. I can only hope. So enjoy day 14. Enjoy day 15. Thank you all for coming to hang out. Thank you for all the new subscribers who may or may not be listening to this. Remember to come check us out at the recap show, which will probably show up on Monday. John and I record on Sunday. We release it on Monday with a live chat. And then we are going to talk about maybe doing just some random live streams to talk about sumo, because everybody seems to like to come and hang out and talk to each other and talk with us. So maybe we'll just do some random ones just for talking's sake, just to get us through the in-between time for tournaments. But for now, enjoy, and we'll be talking to you again soon.